Gentlemen, welcome to a capsule selection. Today, I want to talk about and have a conversation about the new Vanguard. To me, this is a topic that I've wanted to broach for some time. It's one that I think could be a tricky situation to broach topics like this, but I want to talk about the new Vanguard of Oud. For a long time in this journey of fragrances, I know we all have been strategically marketed to by buzzwords like tobacco, which was the first one coming off tobacco vanille. A lot of companies start to dive into and use the buzzword of tobacco in their fragrances. Then on that, they piggybacked upon the strategy of marketing us with the word oud in their fragrances and establishing fragrances that had the oud in it. And so for me, that new Vanguard of oud is one that really captivated me. I mean, amidst many of us as enthusiasts, I'm sure that we all are attracted to the allure of what having oud in a fragrance has done, because it's such an exotic, powerful, and erotic smell. So for me, when it comes to the strategy of marketing and using oud in a perfume, I want to know, once it reached its new Vanguard and brought that in, the zeitgeist was full, the buzzwords were everywhere with oud. I want to know, amongst my fellow connoisseurs, is oud enough? And that's the type of conversation I want to have today. Oud is still one of the most prominently used marketing tools when it comes to fragrances for us, especially us gentlemen. We want to know if a fragrance has oud, tobacco, and things of the sort, and it becomes something of a purchasing marketing tool. So today I want to bring about a conversation about oud, what oud is in my collection, how I perceive it, 9 different fragrances that really established a theory for me and thesis of what oud is and how it smells. So if this sounds like the type of content that you think you'll enjoy, pull up a seat, pour a glass, and of course, let's enhance. Welcome to the Dry Down, the lifestyle channel where we as enthusiasts aspire to enhance and elevate our olfactive sensory experiences through the understanding of the different aromas, facets, and nuances of scent, cigars, and wines. I'm your host, Chris. Welcome to today's experience. Today, I want to talk about agarwood and oud, agarwood/oud. The new, to me, oud is one of those buzzwords that really gets me clamoring for a fragrance. It's one that I have not lost enthusiasm for, and I'm sure many of you have not. And this comes back as a fragrance conversation, piggybacking on my topic yesterday when I talked about the new fragrance from the house of Maison, the new Vanille Havane with the Cartier Oud, which is a heart of oud. It's a fragrance that I think is impeccably done. It's sweet, it's compelling, it's camphorous, it's sexy, it's exotic in a way. If I had not smelled the previous fragrance, which is its flanker, I would have thought of this as one of the better fragrances I'd ever smelled, because it's just that enthralling, it's just that captivating, and it's a sexy, sensual fragrance that I think if you do have the opportunity to smell, you won't be disappointed in the way that it comes off as a oud, tobacco, and vanilla style of fragrance. Well, for me, I want to talk about this conversation outside of that particular fragrance alone. Several different ways the way oud can come off in my wardrobe. I have stuff that is skanky, barnyardy. I have stuff that is strictly medicinal when it comes to oud, and I also have some ouds that are particularly sweet and like I said, like an evergreen sweetness. And I think all of these is the reason that we do clamor toward oud, because for me at least, when I hear the word oud, I particularly want to see how that oud has been used, how that material has been manipulated, and how that material can be massaged into any facet that you choose, even though they come from different regions, from Laotian oud, Cambodian oud, Assam, they have Chinese oud, they have anything in the Asian, Indonesian oud. All these Asian countries have a oud or agarwood tree or aqualaria tree that can produce the oud accord. Even some farms have been made to manufacture oud. It's natural oud, but it's been manufactured through an actual poisoning of the tree. And so for me, I'm going to introduce 9 fragrances, like I said, to really captivate what it is, 3 in each category: the medicinal, the skanky, and the sweet. So we're going to start out first with the medicinal side of oud. The first fragrance for me in the medicinal side of oud is one from Maison Kurkdjian. Maison Kurkdjian has some nicely done oud notes in his fragrances. I think that we all know that he has produced an oud line, and for me, that oud line, it exemplified and really drew me in early in the days of oud, what medicinal oud smell like. Oud alone, the Oud EDP, Eau de Parfum, is a very polished, professionally done scent that I adore for its use of element and saffron along with the medicinal oud accord. It's one that you won't be disappointed in. Surely, if you are one who's seeking a exotic smelling gentleman's fragrance, it can be sensual, it can be sexy and alluring, while still having this polished effect of a aristocratic gentleman. When I smelled this fragrance, I was excited. The first time I smelled this in Neiman Marcus at the counter, I went in to actually pick up Amorous pour Homme because it was something I had sampled, and they had this coming out fresh that day. I'm sure it was out on the market, but it wasn't around in Neiman Marcus at the time for some reason. And when they started putting out the trio on this pillar stand that they had, the marketing was fabulous. It captured me. I saw it. I wanted it after smelling it, and I just knew I had to have it because it was such an exotic smell coming off there. It's in the realm of things like Tom Ford Oud's wood, with that medicinal smell of oud, with that nice rounded wood effect. But this one has the elemi. This one has a nice balsamic elemi that is just phenomenally fresh, sweet, and exotic smelling as well, along with the saffron and some wood accords. But at the end of the day, this one has one of the best components of using the oud note as a medicinal accord to really function as a non-simplistic, but overtly exotic use of medicinal oud. Now, he never states what oud he uses, what region, but to me, the medicinal side of this is really a conjuring effect of stately, polished gentlemen. That's what the medicinal side of oud does for me. It really projects the clean side. It really projects the actual usage of things I would put into a fougere wardrobe presentation. So when I'm going out, if I want to wear something that's polished, as I'm going out with a suit on, if I'm going out with a cashmere jumper or something that I have on right now, and I want to wear it with a pair of slacks and some loafers and or some Oxfords, I can definitely wear this fragrance to exemplify what it is I'm choosing as a fragrance accessory to really polish that look. So once again, Oud EDP from Maison Francis Kurkdjian is the first in the medicinal accorded oud fragrance that I think is beautifully done, exotic smelling, and medicinal. Oud EDP. Guys, the next up in the medicinal oud of fragrances is from the house of Stefan Umber-Lucas, and this is Oumma. Oumma is a fragrance that is captivating. It's balsamic, it's woody, it's exotic smelling, because he really goes forward in presenting new offerings to the market. He's not one, Stefan Umber-Lucas, the master perfumer, is not one who really sticks to the blueprint of designer fragrances at all. I enjoy his house because he really takes chances. He makes some phenomenal fragrances and he blends them so well. And when he made Oumma, Oumma is a powdery medicinal oud fragrance that is just, it wax, you can wax poetic about this when the way the usage of oud comes off into this fragrance. It's medicinal, it's slightly sweet, but it's overtly sensual for the way he uses rose and balsams inside of this one with a little cypriol. But at the end of the day, Oumma is one of the better enveloping medicinal oud fragrances that you can get your nose on when it comes to exotic smelling fragrances that you are really trying to captivate that particular style of oud. Peru balsam is in this one, jasmine, a very beautiful Egyptian jasmine. It's a well-developing fragrance that has a lot of the medicinal oud in it. So if you're interested in medicinal ouds, starting off this list, these are two that are just phenomenally done, and they do have that similar style of oud, but not a similar style of fragrance. Once again, Oumma by Stefan Umber-Lucas in the medicinal realm of oud is a fabulous fragrance that I think we all should have at least a sample of to see what it is to have high quality medicinal oud. Smoky as well. Once again, Stefan Umber-Lucas, Oumma. Third on the list of medicinal ouds, gentlemen, I have a exclusive fragrance here. This is one. Now I know I'm going to introduce this fragrance, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this brand. I don't know what happened. This is a very exclusive brand. They really do make some quality fragrances. These fragrances are all done by Julien Rasquinet, who is one of my favorite master perfumers. These fragrances are sold on their website, which is elegance.co.uk. and Harrods. Now I'm not sure what's going on with the particular Harrods and the way that they're trying to market this particular scent and or have it on their marketplace, but I do know they still carry it in store, but somewhere online it's getting lost in the shuffle. But Elegance is an exclusive house that uses some high quality materials, and this medicinal oud here is one that captivates me because of the smoky accords that are in this, and it is just, it's a beautiful fragrance done by just the highest qualities of the medicinal oud with a lot of smoky sweet liqueur and lily of the valley. This is signature scent worthy. If you want to function around high-end people in high-end society, or just want to feel wealthy and garner that type of attention, as a signature scent, I could not say anything more than Oud Noblesse. It's a very sweet medicinal oud fragrance that is just exotic. It's sweet smelling exotic. It's eroticism at its best, and it uses that medicinal oud accord to really be an intriguing scent. And when I wear this, I promise you, I can tell you, just like many do, the compliments come with the way you function around people and the way you present yourself. And if you smell great, it always brings compliments in a realm. I can honestly say that Oud Noblesse in my collection, when I think over the years, over the time since I've really been complimented by a fragrance, I am more surprised than anything that Oud Noblesse does that for me. It is something about this particular scent that comes off my skin, the way it surrounds me, it cocoons me. I'm astonished, to be frank, at how much this thing gets compliments. Now, I'm not saying that's something that you should go out and try to blind buy or blind anything about this particular scent, but I am saying that the particular way that this scent has been blended, the way that Julian Rasquinet has used these notes, he's the master perfumer, of course, behind scents like Creed's Royal Oud. He has a penchant for knowing how to make fragrances for the modern man, the modern bachelor, the modern married man, the modern man, period, that come off very polished, very, he doesn't acquiesce to any foregone conclusions when it comes to using the oud accord in fragrances as a funky style of oud. He wants to use it as a clean, sweet wood and with the medicinal side, and that's what I enjoy about a lot of his work, because he's done that for this company, he's done that for Creed, he's done that for Electimus, and he really uses a well-rounded, profound oud accord that is very, very well done. Like I said, this one is medicinal oud, lily of the valley, cleanness, and a liqueur scent that is similar to a smoky tobacco incense accord that is just phenomenal, and it garners compliments, and that is Oud Noblesse by the House of Elegance out of London. Just a fabulous fragrance, man. So gents, when we talk about oud, as I stated, we're going to go through like a functionality of this. This next category of oud, these are 3 fragrances that are really representative of the skanky, barnyard, slightly fecal use of oud. Now, one of my favorite in this genre is Oud Isfahan. I don't want to be disappointed by new Isfahan on the market. So I had a bottle of that years ago, and it was really one that got me really head over heels deep dive into what the skanky, just that leathery, just quite frankly funky, cheesy style of oud would smell like, and how it smelled. And it was really captivating. It's exotic. It's exactly what you think of when you think of oud, and it comes off phenomenal. It came off phenomenal. It was one of the things I really started to use when I was coming along and starting to be invited to evening parties and evening galas and evening soirees and things like that, where it was a networking event that was in the evening time. It started to be development for my career. And for me, Oud Palao, when I stopped wearing Oud Isfahan, Oud Palao is one that really gave me a harkening back to what Oud Isfahan was. I am eager to see what the new Oud Isfahan on the market smells like. I'm hoping that it smells as wonderful as the past. I want to see what Maison Francis Kurkdjian, or I keep saying Mason, but I want to see what Francis Kurkdjian was able to do with that scent, and if it is an established agar wood that has that realism of dank, skanky oud that was so heartening to have for me in the beginning of my collection, I more likely will purchase it. But for right now, Oud Palao from the House of Diptyque really has the banner for that scent profile for me. It's skanky, it's barnyardy, it's fecalish, it's animalic, it's powerful, it's lavish, it's lush, it's opulent. It's all the things that you equate to the oud accord. And to me, these different genres of oud is what really makes it worth it. As a buzzword, I don't think it'll ever be worth it again as a buzzword. If I see it as a feature, as an ingredient, I think those will intrigue me more than I need to know that it's something they're trying to sell to me as a oud. But as it stands, oud, and I'm saying this as this trio comes about, oud is still something that intrigues me because of the use of it. If it's real oud, it's very different in every perfume. If it's real, if it's a high quality synthetic, they can really match the tones of oud. So it's one thing to have oud in the fragrance, and it's one thing to know what the oud is trying to characterize and elaborate when that artist is making an oud decor. So for me, Oud Palao, when it comes to skanky, dank, barnyardish oud that really goes on that way, but it mellows out throughout the fragrance wearing journey, the evolution of your skin, that woody dankness, it really comes down and allows the heartbeat of the fragrance to become the rose, the vanilla, and the oud accord as a heartbeat, and it is phenomenal when it comes to Oud Palao by the House of Diptyque. I think that this is a very accessible fragrance for many of us on the market, if not in its price point exactly. It is something that we can all go to one of our malls in our in America to find out what this DNA smells like. Once again, the first in the aromatic skanky side of oud, this is Oud Palao by the House of Diptyque. Just funky but sexy, phenomenally done. And it wears just, I mean, the evolution, like I like to state, man, this is one that has great sillage or great sillage and projection, and it is one that once it envelops you, man, it is a compliment magnet as well. Oud Palao. Up, ladies and gentlemen, we want to talk about the scent of Ether from the K collection of Xerjoff. Now, this is a collection, a sub-collection like many collections the actual house of Xerjoff has. This is a scent that is particularly one of my favorite releases from Xerjoff. It's not one that has a lot of buzz behind it. This collection never did when it was Kimmy, and it does it now that it has Xerjoff's brand name behind it. But for me, these are quality juices that have some of the best scent profiles, and Ether is one that is quite seductively done when it comes to the oud accord that is aromatic, barnyard, and funky. These are some great flacons as well. If you take a look at that, I don't know if you've ever seen these flacons, but it has the Ether on the plaque, and these caps are such an ornate use of the Xerjoff cap structure. Really quality branded. Well done flacon. You know, the packaging is always 100% beautiful, and everything about it, the presentation is fabulous. But this scent, when it comes to the actual scent profile, this one is a sweet, caramelic, barnyardy, you know, piney, green, evergreen style of oud that has that just enough of that dankness to just enthrall you with pleasure when wearing it. Like I said, it's to me, it's a beautiful wearing fragrance. It's one that I am so eager this year. I ran through a lot of it when I first got the fragrance, then of course some things came behind it to kind of weave its way through. But to me this year, I'm so eager to wear this one on my skin, because when it gets to about 65 degrees, this one here is going to be worn with non-stop usage. And I know particularly this is a oud that I'm going to enjoy after a midday, or when I get off, you know, into whatever day thing I've done. I want and have just really felt the urge to wear this even now when it's a little bit too warm for it. So I know it's going to be pulled for. It's one of my, like I said, for Xerjoff, it's one of my favorite new fragrances from them. This one is pine, this one is cypriol, this one has a beautiful, authentic Xerjoff orange note in it that captivates you because of that citrus note that they use, such a high quality citrus note. It smells of an orange grove with oud around you, and it's beautiful the way they done it. It's unique as well. I've not smelled an oud fragrance that smells quite like this at all. I've smelled some that are fresh ouds, the medicinal ouds, the skanky ouds, but I never smelled one with the quite the elevated use of orange. No bergamot, you know, nothing like that, nothing that's sprightly, but it's an orange that just feel like you were in an Arabic temple with surrounding you with evergreen trees, and cypriol and sandalwood is the furniture, and they're serving fresh orange juice, and that's the best way I can conjure the picture of what the scent profile is. And everyone around you is in the most elaborate of clothing and smell as fabulous as they can, and most of those people include the scent of Ether by the House of Xerjoff. The scent is just phenomenal. Trying to give you a conjuring of it, the picture that I can paint is that, but at the end of the day, this is just a beautiful skanky oud that, once again, it's one that mellows itself down to actually complement the other notes and accords in the fragrance, while still having that elevated use of orange in the top that spreads itself and veils itself over the fragrance, and it becomes a beautiful scent. So once again, Ether by the House of Xerjoff. Next up on the list, gentlemen, here I have Cartier's high-end collection, their premier collection. This is Oud and Oud. Oud and Oud is the funkiest of the funkiest, but it still smells so luxurious. If you put it to your nose, you're going to be disrupted and your senses are going to be thrown off. But at the end of the day, and the beginning of the day, this Oud Accord is phenomenal that they use at Cartier. This is not just Oud and Oud, you know, it states that it's Oud and Oud, but you pick up a lot of high quality leather, high quality balsams, high quality ambers. This is a fragrance that has the barnyard effect down to a T. If you want a fragrance that really clings to what Oud is in a fragrance, for me, the Oud in Cartier's high-end line is a very well done Oud fragrance. They have a similarness throughout the actual fragrances because the Oud they use is it's a streamlined accord. They use the Oud in each ones, but they also use different accords with each one to give it a differentiator. But for me, the Oud and Oud, the way it comes off with that leathery cord and those balsams that are heavy, thick, and rich, a beautiful scent that I think at the end of the day, like I stated, this is a phenomenal Oud fragrance with that animalic touch to it. The dry down is just compelling. That leather that they use in this one is soft, it's supple, but it's also animalic as well. So you have the two, you know, the divergence of a soft sweetness and the divergence comes together from that high dose of skanky Oud. The leather comes down from its opening soft suppleness and it dries into its skanky side. So if it's animalic that you're looking for and you want something sexy, animalic that's wearable, it's not something that's unwearable, and that's the beauty about this one as well. It's Cartier. They're not gonna make you or have a fragrance on the market that they can't sell. They don't have the luxury to do that. Well, they do, but they're not gonna do it. Matilda Laurent made Oud and Oud for the specific use of oud and leather, and this is just phenomenal. It's skanky, it's fecal, it's animalic, but at the end of the day, it comes off with these beautiful leather notes, some woody accords, and a sweet amber, and it's captivating. And I think that this is one that you should use your nose on as well. Oud and Oud by the House of Cartier. And that's the last of the skanky style of oud. You know, those three are very much so funky, danky, skanky, but they're also polished and they scream of wealth. They scream of exotic and erotic smells, and that's exactly what that Oud Accord does when it comes to the skanky barnyard smell of oud. It's nothing to be repelled by, but it is something that everyone's not going to love. So once again, that's the three-part series to the oud that is skanky, danky, and barnyardy. And this is the cap, Oud and Oud by Cartier. All right, gentlemen, I hope this conversation is something that is intriguing you, because this is a real great topic for me to want to bring about, because I want to talk about how my collection has come together, my wardrobe, and the functionality of these scents. And I'm hoping that this will intrigue you guys to drop some comments below to actually talk about what it is in oud that intrigues you. As I talk about the third component of what oud has done for me in my wardrobe, the actual, like I said, the zeitgeist around this particular oud accords is just phenomenal. It has blown up Fredcom, it has blown up fragrances. It's one of those notes and accords that really drew everyone in as a buzzword. And for me, one of the mainstays, and when it comes to oud, that is potentially one of the starters of this genre outside of fragrances from Tom Ford like Oud Wood, is the sweet accords of oud. And one of the best sweet accords of ouds on the market that has ever been produced is another one in my collection from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian, and this is Oud Satin Mood. Now you're going to see I'm going to use brands similar to each one. I'm going to talk about brands and the way brands specifically can use oud in their fragrances to differentiate what it is that they are actually trying to compel us to buy, wear, and why we should wear those fragrances. You know, the what, when, and why. And for me, the first one was a medicinal oud, which is just the Oud EDP. Oud Satin Mood EDP is a frankly entirely different beast when it comes to the oud note that they use. And this one here is enveloped by benzoin, rose, and vanilla with a little bit of violet. And it is a show-stopping fragrance. It's one that when you first smell it, if you're not used to rose or sweet rose, you're not going to like it as a gentleman. But once you get on your skin and you want to accept this fragrance as what it is, as far as like a unisex fragrance, man, you talking about some people clamoring to get around you, notice you, be around you, and want, have a conversation with you. Oud Satin Mood is that compelling fragrance. It is a showstopper. It is sweet. It is vanillic. It is a lot of tonka, a lot of balsams, a lot of rose, a lot of violet. It's sexy as sexy can get. It is one of those show-stopping fragrances that You know, it's the note that is Francis Kurkdjian's. I think this is Francis Kurkdjian's baby, man. He makes some compelling fragrances, and I always state that he makes some of the best fragrances. He's got the accolades for it. He's done some phenomenal procuring of essential oils, procuring of high quality materials, and this scent, when he made it and put it on the market, Oud Satin Mood has become just that, satin mood. It's in between the sheet fragrance, and it is phenomenal when it comes to the use of the woody accord that is sweet, slightly funky, but it's nothing that's as dank as the aromatic barnyard styles. It's a woody component that really has a lot of depth, a lot of character, and a lot of power behind it, and he polished it with sweetness around it, and he did a fabulous job. And I think that's one of the reasons that we as the consumer, we as the practitioners of collecting fragrances, and we as the one who love and enthusiastically buy these fragrances are doing it for, because this scent here, just like any other fragrance in my collection, has its place in my wardrobe, and it elevates itself in my wardrobe in certain occasions. I know when to use it, I know when I want to wear it, I know exactly what it does and what type of character I want to present to the people around me that day. And this one is a non-stop achiever when it comes to wearing a oud fragrance with that sweetness in it, and it's just damn gorgeous. It wears phenomenal, it wears with great sillage, it wears with great projection, and it's just a head turning fragrance, and that sweet oud is exactly what does it every single time. And I hope that you guys have got a sample of this before and got your nose on this one, because this is one of those top 100 fragrances in the world right now that I think all of us should have at least a depiction of what it is and what it does on our skin. Once again, Maison Francis Kurkdjian Oud Satin Mood is the first in the sweet oud usage, and it is a beautiful scent. Next up, gentlemen, when it talks about the enveloping sweetness of a fragrance, the next one is from the house of Xerjoff, and I use Ether as the funky scent to signify what this house was doing, done by Chris Maurice as the master perfumer. Now I want to talk about what he did with Symphonium. This is a part of the Stone collection, the 1717 Stone collection. Symphonium is Chris Maurice's and Sergio Momo's usage of oud in a way that really sparks and becomes innovative around the chocolate note. Now for me, the sweetness in this one is not too dissimilar in its compelling this use of oud and sweetness other than Satin Mood. I think that many of you have gotten your nose on this. You will actually be surprised at what this particular scent can do for you. This one is a fresh, spicy use of sweet oud along with the Belgian chocolate and mandarin orange. So exactly the same type of usage that I would get out of Oud Satin Mood, you get from Symphonium. And I would say that they compete just as any heavyweight fight would go about. When you talk about pulling out fragrances from your wardrobe and want to bring about a certain activity, you know, when you want to do a certain activity, a certain realm of your life that you want to go in, you want to smell sexy, convincingly sexy, you want to smell exotic, you want to smell a way that no one else around you will smell, that frankly no one else has smelled. You want to go for the type of ouds that are sweet and, you know, has a nice, really rich and powerful depth. The scent of Oud Satin Mood, that sweet one, the scent of Oud Symphonium from Xerjoff are just fabulous fragrances that really capture you as a character, as a component of your accessories that is very elevated. It's polished, it's unique, it's exotic, and it is erotic smelling. And it is just as good as the scent of Oud Satin Mood. It uses a lot of the, like I said, Belgian chocolate. It had vanilla from Madagascar. It has a lot of oud, very polished, sweet oud. It's from Laos. That's one of the sweeter ouds that I've come to understand. It has cardamom, it has musk, it has mandarin and cardamom. So it's sweet, sexy, soft, warm, spicy with that oud accord that's just phenomenal over that bed of chocolate. And I'm telling you, if you get a chance and you enjoy Oud Satin Mood and you want it to go just a little bit in a different way, but not similar to with that rose component that could become a slightly berry and jammy, you want to take it a different direction, fresh, spicy, Oud Symphonium from the house of Xerjoff is the way to go for you. Get your nose on this one. This is not a disappointing fragrance at all. I know it's not one that's popping up on everybody's radar, but for me, when I smelled it in store, when I went shopping on a California trip and I smelled this one, it was a no-brainer to pick it up and bring it home with me. So once again, 1717 collection, Symphonium from the house of Xerjoff. It's a sweet Belgian chocolate with mandarins and vanilla and fresh spice cardamom that is just, it's compelling, it's character driven, and it's sexy. It's one that I think everybody should get their nose on. Sexy as hell. Ladies and gentlemen, the last one on this list, sweet smelling ouds. I picked this one up in the summertime, and I know it's going to be a banger for me this particular fall and winter. This is Oud Santal by Cartier. As I stated, I'm going to use the same houses for this particular list to show you the components of oud that come off different, the way the manufacturer and or artist got the brief and they want to use oud, and they were able to use the oud in different realms and facets. This here is a sweet oud that is done with just precision use of plum, spices like cinnamon and sandalwood, and it is captivating. It's powerful. It's a 1 cent, not 1 cent, but a 1 to 2 spray scent, because it's powerful. It's energizing. It's sexy. To me, it's one of those fragrances that can become a fall staple as a signature scent for any gentleman. It's just that compelling. It's one that can just take you in every realm. It's one I would not turn to a signature because I wouldn't want myself to get bored of it. But I do think that if you make this your signature scent as a gentleman with 1 or 2 other fragrances, you're going to have one of the best fall lineups. Period. If you put this as a part of your blend as the evening and nights out fragrance, you're going to go every single time as a head turner fragrance. It's just that nicely done oud. It's that dark, sweet, rich oud with the sandalwood accord. There's nice creamy facets to the sandalwood with a nice evolution to that part with the oud and sandalwood working together as a tandem for the wood accords, and then this plum with these spicy cinnamon and nutmeg styles in it. They don't list that specifically, but you can honestly smell how they use the plum with cinnamon. A little bit of floral componentry is in as well that they don't talk about. You can smell all that in this particular scent, and it is a head turning fragrance done by Cartier. And it is one that it blooms on the skin. It goes on heavy, dark, sweet, and rich, but it blooms on the skin. It starts to come off very airy and ethereal. It starts to use the plum to become the projecting accord that is just enthralling. And it's captivating. These fragrances are exotic, erotic, and captivating. And at the end of the day, Oud Santal by the House of Cartier in their high-end perfume line is just the showstopper from that brand when it comes to the sweet oud. Every one in that collection is just a beautiful fragrance. The Oud and Amber, the Oud and Santal, the Oud and Oud, all the ones that are in my collection, I'm very, very happy to be. Oud and Amber is actually my #1 scent of all time. This one here captivates you in a different way than Oud and Amber does, and captivate the people around you differently than Oud and Amber does. As a wearing fragrance that is a crowd pleaser, that is actually one that will get you tapped on the shoulder, Oud and Santal with its sweet sandalwood creaminess, oud facets that are slightly dark, rich, and animalic, but just on the cusp of animalic, but not over the line, not something that's going to be off-putting. And that plum with the cinnamon, get your nose on this one. And they can come at a great price at this point. I'm finding out a great price. You can pick these up. I'm seeing for under $230, $200 right now for a 75 ml, 100 ml bottle, and it's worth that. Sweet. Matilda Laurent knocked this out the park. Great fragrance. Oud and Santal for the sweet accord of oud, sweet note of oud in this capsule selection. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my conversation for you guys today. Today I presented you guys with a capsule because I want to get the conversation started, at least in my family of connoisseurs and enthusiasts. I want to talk to you guys about what it is. Is oud still enough of a buzzword? Is oud still enough a part of the zeitgeist to make you purchase a fragrance? I'll say it's compelling enough for me in some instances when I want something rare, when I want something that is compelling, and I want something to go along. And I brought this conversation about because many of us have had conversations in my comment section about oud or Cour d'Oud by the House of Maison and their use of it in Vanille Havane. And I think that many of us are trying to figure out, is it a worthwhile fragrance? And for me, it is. For me, it's a great worthwhile fragrance. I think that Vanille Havane is a top 10 fragrance, and I think the addition of this oud has done nothing short of elevating the fragrance. I don't think it's one, like I stated, if you had never smelled Vanille Havane, this would be something that people would be enthralled with. You know, people that have smelled the actual fragrance Vanille Havane may not think it is one that is compelling enough or has done enough of elevating the fragrance, but for me it has. And so for me, this particular scent has, it in its essence has told me that yes, Oud is still enough of a buying strategy, still enough of a component to fragrances that really captivates me as a enthusiast for the brands to use. So let me know, are you guys still in love with Oud does? Do you still care if Oud is in the fragrance? Is Oud an attractive scent profile for you? Drop all those comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon to show your love, to make sure this channel grows. This channel right now, I have a 100,000 subscriber goal. I want this channel to be one of the biggest in the games. That's what I'm thriving for right now. Let's lock it down. Let's get to 10,000 and start to use that multiplier and get these capsule selections and conversations out to other people and grow this channel and this family. All my guys who continually leave comments below, keep leaving them. I love these conversations that we have. I love the back and forth feedback. I love when you have difference of opinions than I do, because that all helps us grow and understand why these fragrances are intriguing subjectively to others. And so continue to drop those comments below. Until next time, until next video, you guys have a blessed one. Peace. Great scent.